This is Boston, Massachusetts. Comprehensive high schools in Boston, like state schools in the UK, are built big, with many school teachers working with at least 150 students a week. Some years ago, Boston's educational department started looking for an alternative to its giant high schools.
There was a period in American history was bigger was better. And the argument was, well, you could provide all the opportunities that these very kids need. But the others got lost in the process.
Educators in Boston took a cold, hard look at their poor graduation rate and recognized that the big schools weren't delivering the education they wanted for the city's young people.
It started way back because all the schools were small. And when they got bigger, a lot of us who were researchers went around and saw the damage that facelessness and namelessness had. And then some extraordinary people said, we're going to change that.
The change became the Boston Pilot School Network, a group of 20 small schools. Peggy Kemp, head teacher at one of the Boston Pilot Schools, explains.
There was an agreement made with the Boston Teachers Union and the school department that a certain number of schools would be allowed more autonomy than regular schools, and those schools were expected to be innovative.
The schools negotiated hard with the education department to create a radically new vision for a school.
We have a lot of freedom from school department and union rules. We have 5 areas of freedom: hiring and staffing, schedule and calendar, governance, curriculum, assessment, and did I miss one? I think that's it.
These 20 schools with unprecedented freedoms are small schools with no more than 450 students.
She's liable to say anything. You ain't seen nothing, I said. You ain't seen nothing, I said.
No two schools in the Boston Pilot Schools Network are alike, but what they do all share is the commitment to Ted Sizer's principles for education.
I would say to the brand new teacher, you've got to know your children well, because you are the first line judge of how that child is progressing in your subject. And you have to be aware of where that child comes from, who the family is, what kind of support or lack of support that child has. So you are the child's advocate as well as the child's teacher and guide.
On one site, close to the Red Sox baseball ground, are 2 small schools that share a building, Fenway School and Boston Arts Academy. Both these schools are part of Boston's pilot network of small schools and are examples of Ted's principles in practice.
It seemed like such an exciting place. I just really wanted to come here.
I think it's pretty individualistic.
This is a very close community, and I guess that's one of the big factors of why we understand each other a lot.
You cannot give kids good feedback if you have 150 kids. You just can't.
Never climbed a mountain, never crossed.
We're in this thing where the new sexy phrase is small learning communities, small schools, but that misses the point. To me, the point is there a professional learning community where teachers and kids and parents come together to talk about curriculum, assessment, mission, vision? What are we doing here? What we've done in a lot of our cities is we've said, take the big high school, get rid of it, put it into small schools. I don't know what difference it is. It's just, I sort of say, it's like a small school is like a big school in drag. I mean, it doesn't really make sense if you're just talking about numbers. Small makes sense if we're talking about relationship of teacher to kids. You cannot give kids good feedback if you have 150 kids. You just can't. I mean, that's what I did in the beginning, and you can't give written feedback, you can't be thoughtful. So in terms of small, yeah, numbers of students per teacher should be very small.
Front leg! Up! Front leg! Yes! Back leg, Narissa! And up! Elevate! Yes!
Boston Arts Academy is a public high school, which I know in England means private, but here it means not private, for the visual and performing arts. And we were really intrigued by turning education on its head and saying, is it really about 4 years of English, 3 years of this, 5 years, is it really that? Or is it something quite different? And it was those essential questions that I think led to what we're now calling the small schools movement.
At Boston Arts Academy, all the students choose an arts major, as well as completing their academic studies. At Fenway School, by contrast, there's a focus on informing students' opinions through academic study and debate.
Fenway is committed to creating students that are morally and socially responsible, who develop leadership skills, and who develop critical thinking skills using the habits of mind. That's its mission statement.
One more.
The civilians will be hurt because now they won't have oil and the companies might shut down in Sudan.
Yeah. I mean, remember that whole factory thing? Who do they employ? Normal, everyday Sudanese, right?
Though the two schools share a site, they're almost completely autonomous, only sharing a cafeteria and library. Even the student school days start at different times, and they use separate staircases.
I think that it's small, that it's very student-centered, and that I think that all the conversations that we have are about what is going to make a difference. Why does this matter to kids? And I think that's what makes it so powerful. You like my outfit? I really like these shoes.
One of the key strengths of a small school is how it helps develop relationships between the faculty and the student body.
I know all of the kids by name. That was beautiful last night.
Thank you.
I was so touched. I said, oh my goodness, it's Franklin. Franklin, I was going to go get him. Get to know a lot about the kids before they get here, and I think it's really, really important because the only way the kids will trust you if you know them. Most of the times that kids misbehave, it's, they're not trying to be bad. There's something else behind that, and unfortunately, many of our students have had very difficult experiences in their middle school particularly.
Parents are especially impressed by the fact that their children are valued as individuals.
We had an experience in middle school, and it was not good, and I didn't feel like I could talk to the teachers. I had to demand to have a meeting with the teachers. I just saw his chemistry teacher outside, and we have a relationship. We only met once because he's taking chemistry this term, but we already fostered a relationship, and I can just say to him, he already knows who my child is. And that's really important in this school. All the teachers know everybody.
Because it is a small school, it's possible. If I had 1,200 kids, I think I'd blow a fuse if I had to remember all of the names. And it's about building trust. And I think most of the time, we're really good at it.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, have a nice day.
Thank
you.
We have their personal cell phone numbers and house numbers. They usually say, don't call me past 9:30 because I have a life. But aside from that, it's really, really personal.
Rose, I don't mess up my pay. You know that. I take my pay and I give it to you. I ain't got no money except what you give me back. I need time to enjoy myself, to enjoy life.
What about me? When's my time to enjoy life?
I mean, they just get to know who you are as a person, so they learn your learning style, they know what you can and cannot do and in what environment you need to do it in. So like in humanities, I can't really act the same in there because I might come in a really high energy, ooh, let's be crazy mood, but my teacher who knows me so well will know exactly what to do to get Jay in order, and in order for him to get his work done, I might not like it, but he knows what it is that I need to do, and I know that he's right, but I just want to be teenagery, so I don't want to listen to him.
I'm considered like the mom of the dance department, so I've learned that, to listen carefully, and then they just want my opinion, so I give it to them. And if they take it, they take it. If they don't, they don't.
I think everything is different here. So we start with the premise that what we're doing is teaching kids to be artist scholars. That's a really different premise. So there's this notion in this school that is very deeply rooted that everyone is successful somewhere and everyone is beautiful somewhere, and it's our job to find it.
A small school can mean smaller class sizes, but that's not all it means at Boston Arts Academy. Because the academy is small, they can approach the curriculum taking into account the interest of their students. Lessons don't have to be one size fits all. This biology class is looking at human biology, and the class teacher is starting with a subject she knows will intrigue her students: addiction.
So my big question for you today is, 1, do you think that addiction is a disease? And 2, do you think that it is chronic or acute?
Can it be both? Because can it affect you in certain ways? Like it can affect you rapidly, or it can affect you like chronically or whatever. So I think it's differently. depending on who you are. So
We try to have it as student-centered as possible, and we try to have our students really think like scientists as opposed to just reading what scientists have done. Somebody else, what's your opinion? Is addiction a disease, and is it chronic or acute? Daisy.
Addiction is more of a choice rather than it's like you choose to like try something and do something, and then if you get addicted to it, it's because you chose to do it. Our classes, they're fun, they're energetic, they're always giving us like encouragement to continue on. They're not just like you sit there and you get lectured all day. That's what they really do good in this school, because they're always like incorporating everything, and like the final product is you learn a lot.
Fenway is not an art school, but as a pilot school, shares the same freedoms.
That our teachers have only around 75 students that they work with in a typical week. When I worked at other schools as a teacher, I usually worked with anywhere from 150 to 200 students in 1 week. So there is a lot more collaboration, more time spent at the school, but less stress.
I think it's going to be great. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Good rehearsal. Okay. I work really hard, and I think that they see that in their leaders, that we work really hard. We're also teachers of teachers. I think of myself as a good teacher. There's not much that we ask them to do that we don't do, so I always model my professional development goals. We have a schedule that teachers develop, not administrators, that teachers have a lot of control over, what they teach, how they teach, why they teach. So I think teachers feel very empowered to work here. This is our school, it's not my school. You know, I may be the vision keeper and vision leader, but this is our school.
Because I taught for 4 years in a comprehensive exam school where I had a very conventional set of responsibilities. I taught my lesson, I graded my papers, and I was done. And so I like it because I've actually had a considerable amount of say in the kind of job that I have now. My job description is entirely of my own making.
What advice would Linda have for teachers and school leaders thinking about starting a new small school?
So I would say, first of all, what's your opportunity to have real relationships with kids? And then secondly, I'd say, is there a common something that you all do together? Because that's the only way to create a professional learning community. You have to have something that you're all talking about together. What are the habits that we care about our kids being able to own and know and do? And I think those are some of the things I would always start with in a comprehensive high school. What do you care most about? Have you sketched your graduate? What does your graduate look like? What do you want your graduate to look like? Really take the time. And I know how hard that is because there's the standardized tests and there's the this and there's the that. But if we don't give educators the chance to say, wait a minute, stop. I'm doing this work. All this madness is going to keep on going. But I'm going to do this work. And I'm going to make sure that my school really stands for something that we all can articulate.